Some revolutions in cinema don't begin under spotlights or in film school lecture halls. Some begin with two unknown matte painters walking into MGM studios with nothing but a dream and a script no one believed in. That script became Forbidden Planet, a movie that would change not just science fiction, but Hollywood itself. In 1952, Irving Bloch and Alan Adler pitched Fatal Planet to a room that barely cared. Sci-fi back then was the bargain bin of cinema: cheap costumes, recycled monsters, forgotten actors. Nobody expected greatness, but these two didn't see a movie. They saw a universe. They imagined a planet painted with psychology, desire, fear, and technology, a place where silence was just as powerful as lasers. Their pitch was dismissed, but something about it haunted the studio, waiting to erupt into history. By 1954, things in entertainment were shifting. Television was rising, the public was becoming increasingly fascinated by space, and studios were desperate for something fresh. So MGM quietly pulled Bloch and Adler's proposal out of a drawer and decided to take a risk. They didn't just approve the idea, they decided to create a project that would redefine the entire genre. What had begun as Fatal Planet was reborn as Forbidden Planet, and it would soon become one of the most daring films of the decade. This boldness was backed by budget. Most science fiction films of the 1950s cost around $150,000, maybe $300. Zero if the studio was feeling generous. MGM, however, put nearly $2 million into Forbidden Planet, turning it into one of the most expensive science fiction films ever attempted at the time. That money went everywhere: massive sets, groundbreaking special effects, expensive props, advanced matte paintings, and one of the most iconic mechanical characters in cinema history. This was not another cheap genre flick. MGM wanted audiences to sit in a theater and say, "This is what science fiction is capable of." Casting also reflected that ambition. Instead of washed-up actors looking for last-chance paychecks, MGM brought together a powerful lineup including Walter Pidgeon, Leslie Nielsen, and Francis, and Warren Stevens. These were not actors playing down to the material, they were performers originally. The film was set in the far-off world of 1972, but as the script was reviewed by designers, technicians, and visual effects specialists, one truth became impossible to ignore: the technology described in the screenplay simply didn't belong anywhere near the real 1970s. The machines, the landscapes, the scale of the filmmaking were far too advanced. So the story was pushed to centuries into the future, landing the narrative in the 23rd century on the distant planet Altair 4. That single change reshaped the film completely. It wasn't just a visual shift, it was a thematic leap. The writers blended futuristic spectacle with classical literature, basing the film loosely on Shakespeare's The Tempest. In this structure, Walter Pidgeon's Dr. Morbius became a futuristic Prospero, and Francis's Altera became Miranda, and the invisible forces haunting the characters became the spirits of the human mind itself. The psychological fusion of Shakespearean drama, Freudian theory, and science fiction world-building made Forbidden Planet unlike anything audiences had ever seen. To direct such an ambitious film, MGM selected Fred M. Wilcox, best known for Lassie Come Home. Many questioned the choice. How could a director of family dramas lead a monumental science fiction production? But Wilcox was chosen not for visual effects experience, but for his understanding of tone, tension, and human performance. He directed Forbidden Planet not as pulp but as serious drama. There were no jokes, no self-aware nods, and no campiness. His grounded, disciplined direction gave weight to even the wildest aspects of the movie, ensuring that audiences believed every moment unfolding before them. The transformation deepened when screenwriter Cyril Hume stepped in. He didn't just refine the script, he reshaped it into a multi-layered psychological narrative. Under his hand, the monster was no longer a physical alien, but a projection of the subconscious, the ID, rooted in the ideas of Sigmund Freud. Suddenly, the threat wasn't out in space. It was inside Dr. Morbius himself. For Walter Pidgeon, playing Dr. Morbius became a defining moment in his long career. At first, he was unsure about appearing in a science fiction film. And Frances, as Altera, brought another unforgettable dimension. Only 23 at the time, she appeared wearing what would become cinema's first miniskirt designed by Helen Rose. The futuristic look sparked global controversy, with Spain banning the movie entirely until 1967. Interestingly, a full-body metallic jumpsuit was considered more provocative, and studio head Dor Sherry rejected it. Ironically, the shorter skirts that replaced it became even more scandalous meanwhile. Leslie Nielsen, years before starring in comedies like Airplane, delivered a serious performance as Commander. Adams, his commanding presence and moral leadership, hinted at the type of captain later seen in shows such as Star Trek, but perhaps the most unforgettable piece of casting wasn't even human. Robbie the Robot was built for $125,000, an enormous sum at the time. Inside the 7-foot mechanical suit was stunt performer Frankie Darro, sweating in pitch-black conditions, barely able to move, and at risk of electric shock. After one lunch break where he had a little too much to drink, Darro nearly toppled over in the suit and was swiftly removed from the role. Yet the mechanical genius of Robbie did not go unnoticed. He became a star not just in Forbidden Planet, but in decades of film and television, including The Invisible Boy, The Twilight Zone, Lost in Space, The Addams Family, Columbo, Mork and Mindy, and even Looney Tunes, back in action in 2003. He became cinema's most hard-working robotic actor. Inside the film's universe, Robbie obeyed ethical programming reminiscent of Isaac Asimov's 3 laws of robotics, which prevented him from harming a human being even when ordered to. That programming became central to the climax of the film. When the monstrous creature attacks, Robbie refuses to intervene. If he fought the creature, he would be fighting Dr. Morbius. Because the creature was no alien at all, it was a subconscious given physical form. The soundtrack of Forbidden Planet was revolutionary. Composers Lewis and B.B. Barron did not use instruments of any kind. They built circuits that created sounds until the circuits overloaded and died. Every electronic shriek, echo, and hum was the death cry of a machine. The monster itself was animated by Joshua Meador, a veteran of Disney, who illustrated the beast frame by frame on translucent sheets. It wasn't a costume or a puppet, it was a hand-animated psychological threat that appeared only when passing through force fields. Government censors at the time were unsettled, and some demanded changes. One of the most fascinating elements of the film was an 11-minute scene that was removed before release. In the original cut, Dr. Ostrow explains that Altera's power over her pet tiger comes from ancient myth. Only a virgin can tame the beast, much like the symbol of the unicorn. Once Altera experiences romantic awakening symbolized by her first kiss, the tiger attacks. Because her innocence is gone. Censors thought this symbolism was too suggestive for 1956, so MGM removed the entire sequence. Audiences were left confused as to why the tiger suddenly turned violent. For decades, that footage was believed lost until a work print was discovered in 1977 and restored for later releases. The film also stirred controversy with a scene featuring in Frances swimming, appearing nude under shimmering light. She was, in fact, wearing a seamless skin-colored bodysuit, but the lighting made it look real. Audiences were outraged, theaters pulled the film, and MGM was forced to issue public statements declaring that nothing indecent had occurred. Even still, when the film was re-released in 1972 in a child-friendly version, over 6 minutes including that scene were cut, stripping away much of the sensual subtext behind the scenes. Forbidden Planet became one of the most technically demanding films of its era. It occupied 4 of MGM's largest sound stages at once. The alien sky wasn't an effect, it was a 350-foot curved cyclorama, illuminated with massive lighting rigs so the painted sun blended with the stage sun. The 167-foot spacecraft set filled an entire stage by itself. Power needs were so intense that additional electricity had to be pulled from nearby buildings. The Krell laboratory used 12,500 feet of neon tubing, 50,000 feet of wiring, and 110 synchronized switches. No computers, just craftsmanship and relentless labor. When Forbidden Planet premiered at Grauman's Chinese Theater in Hollywood in 1956, critics were divided. Some didn't understand its seriousness. Others were fascinated, but unsure how to classify a science fiction film. With Shakespearean influence and Freudian psychology, it made a modest profit of around $110,000, respectable, but not groundbreaking. Yet its legacy was not measured in dollars. In the years after its release, Forbidden Planet didn't fade, it rose. It became the blueprint for everything from Star Trek to the way we imagine robots, alien worlds, and the psychology of fear. It proved that science fiction wasn't just spectacle, it was art with meaning. If you enjoyed uncovering this hidden chapter of cinema history, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. More forgotten stories, lost scenes, and secret Hollywood legends are coming next. Thanks for watching.